Okay, so I had absolutely no idea at all about what the big deal was surrounding the Nintendo Switch. I don't mean the excitement for it, I mean specifically the really unhealthy hype culture surrounding it. So many people making rumour videos every day and so much fakeness and lies from people just to scrape the bottom of the barrel and stay relevant within gaming news. And you know what?
It's time for me to cure the skeptics. My voice has gone funny with my belly turned.
Because I was actually personally invited by Nintendo to go over to London to a massive PR event, where I not only got to meet Dean Dobbs in the flesh finally, and not only fuck around with RabbidLuigi for a few hours, but also a hands-on play on a handful of games and the opportunity to ask a lot of questions about the thing. Need proof? Fine. Here's me on the train to London, here's me at Paddington Station, here's me on the Underground, here's me pointing at the word Nintendo at the event location, here's me entering the event, and look around, look at this awesome stuff going on here, look here, look here, there's an ugly face eyeing up the console, look, ugh. And that's where I got my free fish and chips. I can officially say that Nintendo have fed me. And as far as games go, in the event I managed to get my hands on a few of them. All of the small selection of the mini-games from 1-2 Switch twice over, Sonic Mania, a long play at ARMS, Super Mario Odyssey. No, I'm joking, it was just a cardboard cutout. You can't play that, you fucking idiot. And of course the main event, Zelda Breath of the Wild, which had a big-ass goddamn tree in the middle of it. The game was alright, but this tree was the best thing of the day. Yeah, it's not a load of games to be fair, and I did completely bypass Splatoon 2 because I could not care less. It looks fucking identical to the first one, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or whatever it was. I've already got the game, I don't need it again, especially when there's so little additional content. But with these 4 games that I personally played, it actually demonstrated a very broad use of what the Switch can do and the potential that it will have for the future. I also did want to play snipper clips, but I ran out of time, which is a shame. It looked really cute.
The console itself was a lot smaller than I was expecting actually, very sleek and yet very rounded and cute and blocky and characterized and very comfortable and light to hold when you're in portable mode. Basically like the Wii U gamepad kind of comfortable with a headphone jack and everything. The console is this screen here and it either slots into your docking station ready to play on a big TV, or you can take the screen out of the docking station making it switch very quickly onto the little screen itself ready to be portable. In each mode you can either use a Pro controller for it or with the left and right Joy-Con control pads, the new controllers acting like any other controller just split in half, similar to how the Wii did it with games like Mario Galaxy, or with them connected by a weird controller docking thing that turns each side of the joypad into another controller in itself. Or of course in portable mode, if you don't want the screen separate from you, you can just connect each mini Joy-Con controller onto the sides of the thing, almost turning it into a Nintendo Vita. Depending on the game as well, you can even use each of these Joy-Con controllers on the side as individual simple like NES controllers for games like Mario Kart alongside other controller types. And yes, you can get them purchased separately for additional players along with apparent 8-player co-op by wirelessly stringing consoles and controllers together. The thing is not region locked, it has a lot more third-party support, and the battery life info I could grab was that the screen itself is chargeable while portable and 6 hours seem default, while the more intensive games like the new Zelda may half it, which is a bit of a bummer, but still pretty cool how it all works as a home console and then a brief portable system whenever you need it to be. It feels like a natural step up to how console games can be played, and the tech blows my mind with how adorably cool it is. Although everybody that was complaining about the PS Vita's battery life, well, I'm not going to say anything. The left Joy-Con controller also has a share button for screenshots, while the right features a motion thing that can detect objects in your vicinity for certain games, and they can even be charged when connected to the console.
And now for the games and how I felt that the new system and control schemes worked on them.
To get the more basic one out of the way, Sonic Mania. On its own, an extremely faithful and beautiful revival of classic Sonic games, and huge in scale for the level designs and paths that you can take. And I love the pixel art and how you can jump on objects and they move and animate depending on where Sonic puts his weight onto the thing. And when I played it, I used one half of the Joy-Con controllers on its side to see how it felt. It was okay. Nothing great, I gotta be honest, and depending on what side of the Joy-Cons you use, the analog stick and buttons are of course different distances from each other, which makes playing one half of them quite cramped, but manageable. I wouldn't recommend it at all for Smash Brothers or something like that, but it could work for Mario Kart, I guess, and it worked well enough for the simplicity of Sonic. Bearing in mind the Joy-Cons connect to each side of the system and you can immediately have a second player on the go for particular games just by handing them the other half of a controller, I think the pros outweigh the cons here, but then my hands aren't too big, so I don't know how that will feel for other people. ARMS was immense amounts of fun and really really showed off the capabilities and subtleties of the new Joy-Con motion controls and what they had to offer, and how seamlessly they connect with the buttons for fluid gameplay. By using each of the Joy-Con controllers, you basically play an insane boxing match, and the game itself is obviously just a demo, so new arenas, characters, and content are things that I can't really comment on. But what I did play with RabbidLuigi I found brilliant. The buttons on each Joy-Con were not only conveniently placed for how you hold each individual gyroscope controller, but are also only used for jumping, dodging, and activating special attacks, while the motion did everything else. Moving all around the arena by tilting both of them together, grabbing opponents by flinging both arms forward, blocking by twisting the remotes, and actual punching and curve punching by how you throw each arm forward and curve your wrist were eerily responsive and realistic, and I never felt like I was wrestling with the controls or that this was just some weird shitty gimmick. And it takes maybe 5 minutes or so to grasp, but ages to get good with, and lord is it satisfying, and like I said, doesn't even feel slightly gimmicky. And with all the customizable fists you can use for totally different attacks and different character stats and speeds for different strategies in every fight, I can totally see competitive arms being an exhilarating thing to witness for the pros at it. These are some of the most impressive and accurate motion controls I've ever used, especially with how the button commands simply and efficiently act alongside them. And it didn't make me feel like I just wanted to use a controller instead. This was a step up from Wii that I think we needed a long time ago, honestly.
And this brings me smoothly enough onto the next game, 1-2 Switch, which is basically like Wii Play from like a fucking decade ago, but still fun, and another cool way that the potential and the capabilities of the system are shown off. And it not only made me think about what the system itself could do, but it also made me think how party games could be done and be changed forever.
This here is a large collection of mini-games that they only presented 6 to play at the event. Safecracker, a samurai sword catching game, ball counting, that's exciting, dance copying, quick draw, and a game called Milk. Oh my god, yes! Milk! Milk the video game! I take this very seriously. Cow udder squeezing isn't a joke. Look at RabbidLuigi's milking face. You milk that cow, boy. You milk it like a dirty fucking. All of these games were not only fun, but also very different, not just in how they played, but with how a lot of them didn't even require direct input with the console or TV, and instead relied on you solely performing your actions with your opponents, simply and individually from the game and the TV itself. Of course, aside from all of the sound cues you have to pay attention to. It's a unique take on party gaming, and honestly so much fun it's ridiculous, while being easy to show off and explain without saying too much, and just letting you see what's going on. If you think this kind of thing would be throwaway fun for you and a friend, you'll love this game, I'm sure. Whether or not you're copying dance moves, which we are clearly masters at, and actually just as good as each other, even though I'm clearly better, or playing a game of slaps but with samurai sword and catching the swing of the other player, which I am way too devious and smart to be fucked with at. The only negative I can say is that especially in the milking game, the button placements on each side of the Joy-Con that you have to squeeze to, you know, milk the cow are fine, but the analog sticks make squeezing itself a bit too uncomfortable as they're just there against your hand inside and being squeezed with the buttons. It's a bit of a fuck up if you ask me. However, this also showed off the immense detail within not only the motion sensors again, but with the vibration, since each Joy-Con has what they like to call HD rumble, best demonstrated in ball counting. Yeah, a boring gaming concept, but scarily accurate with the technology at work. Using small movements, the vibration actually perfectly mimics the amount of balls in an imaginary wooden box that you have to guess that are in there. It's so real that it actually feels exactly like a number of balls are being shaken around in the controller itself, and I cannot wait to see how much further this technology is used. The real kicker though, and the massive downside, is that this game is not going to be packaged within the console, and for what is essentially just a collection of mini-games, no matter how impressive the tech is, or no matter if there are literally dozens more from what they had for us to try out at the event, if you're gonna make it separate, reduce the fucking price. This is fucking disgraceful in my opinion, especially since you can only play the games in this launch title if you have someone else to play with, and it's extremely bare bones as it is. It's just Wii Play again, so why is it so expensive?
And finally, Zelda.
It's extremely difficult to sum up the game itself within the first 20 minutes I got to play with it, so I ain't reviewing shit here, but suffice to say I thought the art style was awesome, the world immensely interesting, and the controls not only way more free-form for a Zelda game with jumping at will, climbing any obstacle, and I mean any obstacle, and way less stiff combat that is just as smooth and fast as the exploration. With a story that has a load more initial mystery and with no direction after the introduction, it feels as though Breath of the Wild is taking updated control and gameplay mechanics from other open world games and action RPGs, but splicing them into the core ideas, dungeon puzzles, enemy encounters, and world-building mechanics characterized by Zelda without making it feel like Zelda Assassin's Creed or something. And with the fact that you can jump and climb practically anywhere you want to, provided you have the stamina, and the noise meter that you have for stealth and picking up and carrying weapons and clothing at will, I'm extremely excited to see what kind of secrets, rewards, crafting, puzzles, and quests there must be to experience in the full thing, which according to the guy I was speaking with will let you explore literally every hill in the distance that you can see. So does this mean that the world will loop around like Wind Waker but on the ground? I don't know, maybe the guy was lying, but I don't know, he just wants to sell a fucking game to me, I don't know. The mystery of the intro and the overall plot without resorting as soon as you begin to the basic go and save Zelda quest, I found intriguing and refreshing. I'm not saying that doesn't happen later, but to begin with, it's very cool. And then to figure out myself that I could go and see anything I wanted to in any order, even after talking to the first NPC you find, made it feel like a modern day Zelda 1 and nowhere near as restrictive, cryptic, and dated. Although I did experience frame dips every other time I got into melee fights though, so I do hope that gets fixed. This is where I checked out all the different ways you could play the system as well. On the docking station with the Pro Controller was solid basic console gaming, while switching to portable mode actually made the game look a lot better as far as I'm concerned on the high-res screen, along with being comfortable and light to hold. And with all the different ways that you can take both halves of the Joy-Con controllers off and use them like Wii remotes and stuff, and with the little screen or with the big screen, it is so cool and customizable to suit comfortability, especially if your hands might be too big to use the Joy-Cons comfortably with and want to use another controller. I found them pretty swift and comfy, especially when connected to the screen, but I can definitely see why bigger hands might have issues with it.
And that's all I have to say, really. I think the main consensus from me right now is that the Switch is a pretty cool little system. It's got me sold. Not that I probably necessarily agree with some of the shit that's going on around it, like the online feature, that's fucking bullshit, read up about that. And of course the pricing system of all of the peripherals and stuff, it's fucking ridiculous. And there's already tons of other people that have done proper theoretical videos on what could happen with the Switch in the future and what it means to Nintendo, so I'm not going to go into much more detail about that now, but this has just been a video about the system itself and some of the games that I played on it. So yeah, just take what you will from that. Oh, I will say as well that the launch lineup isn't that fucking amazing, honestly, but then you could say that for loads of other consoles in the past, PS3, PS4, anything like that. They've had some pretty fucking lackluster opening start gates, but potential is there. I would quite like to play the thing. I'm not like, oh my god, get it now, but I'm quite sold on it, honestly, so, you know, take what you will from that.